The Democrat Party is held hostage by far-left activists, by angry mobs, Antifa, by deep state radicals, and their establishment cronies. You ever see what happens when they take the masks off Antifa? You have guys that look like they live with mom and dad in the basement. They live in the basement of mom and dad's home. You know what that is? That's the size of their biceps. But they wear the tough black outfits. Oh, I would never suggest this, but I will tell you, they're so lucky that we're peaceful.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, as the ironically named anti-fascists roam the streets to beat people over the head with whom they disagree, President Trump is calling them out, saying that we should look at classifying them as actual terrorists, which we're going to take a look at, plus a whole bunch of other breaking news stories that you guys are going to want to stick around to check out. So just stick around, and I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, redpillliving.com. They want you to know all about this new product, Kela Cream EDTA Chelation Therapy Cream. Did you know heavy metals are poisonous? They're in our air, water, food, and workplace, affecting everybody. Unfortunately, humans don't have an effective mechanism to remove lead and heavy metal toxins. Calcium disodium EDTA Chelation Therapy has been proven to be the most effective way to remove heavy metals from our bodies. Unfortunately, it's normally expensive, time-consuming, invasive, and inconvenient. There's now an easier, lower dose, and gentler way to remove heavy metals with Kela Cream EDTA Chelation Cream. It's affordable, non-invasive, and safe for all ages. As a bonus, it supports heart health and cardiovascular health. So if you guys want to get this great product, go visit redpillliving.com today and use the promo code Craig for 10% off your order. I hope you guys enjoy. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. As you guys know, I always start by saying thank you to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. As you all know, we are in a sort of a holding pattern right now. My best estimate at this point is that we're not going to be hearing from Q again until the 8chan boards are up, and that's not going to be happening until September 5th, I believe. Jim Watkins is scheduled to testify in front of Congress, and apparently right after that, he is set to turn the board back on. So that's the best source I have for the information right now. I thought I'd give that to you first. But as you know, there has been a lot of news going on that we have to cover here on the channel. Antifa. These people are just out of their minds. They're marching through the streets. They're beating people up who they disagree with, and nobody's doing anything to stop it. President Trump has something to say about that, and we're going to take a look at that. But also, there's a bunch of other breaking news stories that we're going to check out here tonight that you guys are going to want to stick around to see. Before we do that, though, I always encourage everyone to come back here to the landing page. If you haven't, please watch these last few videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. The fact of the matter is, I need your help. What's happening at YouTube and Google and all these other big tech corporations is they are censoring content, but they're not just censoring it, they're subliminally censoring it through suppression and algorithmic discrimination. And we have many instances that seem to show that this is a practice that's like an industry standard across the board. So you guys have to hit the share button on these videos and put them on your own social media. That way they can't suppress it, because we'll just keep spreading it further and further no matter what they do. So please do that if you want to help. And also, if you don't know what QAnon and the Great Awakening is, come here, watch this video. If you can't find it, please just Google this. You could search the actual title. A lot of people, I have people sometimes write me and say, I can't find the video. The title's right there. Just write that into the search engine, and if it doesn't come up, then obviously that's just more proof that Google is suppressing the content. So I just leave that one to you guys. So let's get into the latest news stories. First of all, this is the big story, I guess. There's a protest in Portland, where you have people coming from what they call the Proud Boys or just a patriot organization here to confront, as the media would put it, the Antifa, which have basically taken over the city of Portland, mind you. And the mayor has been, uh, you know, supporting them and keeping the police from arresting them for their violent actions. And it's an active form of insurrection. To me, it reminds me of it like an insurgency, where you have an entire city that's basically a no-go zone for people who are, I'm not saying everyone in the Proud Boys is perfect, because there are always going to be crazy people in every organization, but it would seem that Portland has become over time some sort of insurgent haven for these anti-American, anti-fascists. That's what they call themselves, fascists. It's funny that they call themselves anti-fascists, but then they are fascists in the way that they act. And they seem to think that they're fighting against some sort of injustice, that they are, quote unquote, punching Nazis, right? Or fighting Nazism or white supremacy. But this is all because they're continuously, or I should say, continually ginned up by the media with this rhetoric of not white supremacy this and Nazi that, and all of these different narratives that are being force fed on them. So these patriots went to march and say, look, we just have, I mean, if you even look at this like just from an objective standpoint, the people who came together for the march that was put together by like Joe Biggs and the other guy, there, you have to think of it this way. They came to them and said, look, let's be honest, let's be, forthright with how we are going to approach this. We're going to turn the other cheek. We're going to just march to show that we can march and we can be here, that we are American citizens and we have the same rights as you do to form and assemble and march through the streets. And the way Antifa responded is indicative of their entire culture. That is this culture of intimidation, this culture of subversion and a push toward violence. So they've started attacking these people. And of course, there was violence on both sides. I'm not trying to polarize this to say that there's one side that's better than the other. Obviously, in my opinion, there is one side that's more rational and logical and seeking justice than the other. But that is not what I'm here to say. What I'm here to say is that if you just try to look at this objectively, we're standing and saying that we can, people who have an opposing opinion can have the same freedoms that you do. You can't call us a Nazi and hit us over the head with bike locks and baseball bats and attack us and chase us down because you're a psychotic person who thinks that that's what we are all about, when it's obviously not true. I mean, here in President Trump's own words, he says major consideration is being given to naming Antifa a, quote, organization of terror, unquote. Portland is being watched very closely. Hopefully the mayor will be able to properly do his job. This is not about, politics. This is about actual criminals, criminal gangs roving the streets. And what I thought was really interesting is somebody pointed out the fact that you can categorize them as terror because a lot of people are arguing, well, there is no actual, chain of command. It's just an idea that people are taking on to go out and commit violence with. Well, that is a scary, slippery slope, in my opinion, but you could apply the same principle that was applied to an organization like Al-Qaeda, where Al-Qaeda terrorists were just different cells of individuals, autonomous, that united under a single defining mission or jihad against America. So to me, think of it this way. I see the slippery slope as, what if they try to use this argument against QAnon, saying, oh, well, there were these shooters that did this, or there was some psychopath who did that. But the simple logical truth is that Antifa is an organized movement that has been weaponized to attack law-abiding American citizens for their First Amendment rights. And that is, in and of itself, a crime that has to be brought to justice as far as the many people who have had their personal individual rights violated. And QAnon has never promoted anything that's violent. If anything, like I've said here on this channel, me personally, I'm 100% in favor of bringing us together and getting our country to be made great again. How about that for a novel idea? Let's try to make this country great again, as opposed to trying to destroy it. That would be a really novel idea, right, at this point. But this is President Trump telling us about it, and then here is the frame from which the left-wing extreme media, fake news media, comes at it. Portland braces for violence at far-right rally. Entire police force will be on duty, but they'll just be there watching to not really do anything, while Antifa beats up law-abiding citizens who are exercising their First Amendment rights. I kind of extended the headline to be more real and not fake news, because I don't want to report fake news to you guys here on the channel. But as you can see from the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell, we have this groundbreaking report about the fact that it's a far-right rally that will be violent, and not the Antifa leftists who are going to be showing up with their, baseball bats and pepper spray and hammers to beat the people who are there exercising their First Amendment rights, as I said before. So, look, you can frame this however you want. Left, right, it doesn't matter. Objectively speaking, we don't want any gangs roving the streets. Now, the sad truth with this story is that we have such a divisive culture, and everything is being ginned up by the media. Everything is being fanned. The flames are being fanned by the media constantly, 24/7. They are just dumping gasoline on the fire every single day, trying to convince you and me and everyone else that President Trump's a racist and that he's basically a fascist and a white supremacist and that we have to stand up against him. I mean, that's what all the fake news and virtue signaling celebrities and virtue signaling corporate leaders who are either idiots and ignorant or really trying to cover up their crimes that they have committed, that President Trump wants to convict them for and to investigate them for and to hopefully indict them and bring them to conviction, as I said before. But this is what we're up against. The sad truth, right? Next story is another little fake news doozy from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And it's not really fake news as much as it is like the story is just contextually garbage. But it's talking about Trump's large union crowd at Shell was given an option of not showing up and not getting paid. So they all came to get paid. It was a free day. The way this article is framed is like, it's the hilarious thing. These guys were given a day off to go watch President Trump give a speech, the president of the United States, mind you. And this person, this fake news journalist, Anya Litvak, sounds like she's from who knows where. I'm not gonna say anything. Not going to say anything about that. Apologies before I get the fake news story written about me for saying that. But look, this is hilarious. Okay? I'm very closely tied. I don't want to say anything else, but with the oil and gas industry, I know a lot of guys who do oil and gas. A lot of them are my friends. And I'm not going to get anything else of that. But I know if their boss walked in tomorrow and said, hey, you could have the day off to go watch a President Trump speech, 99.999, basically 100%, I think, would want to go watch that and get paid to do it. Especially considering the fact that if the Democrats get elected, their whole game plan is to put all of these people you see here in this picture out of a job. That's why it hits home for me, because I'm a big supporter of our oil and gas industry. I think it's one of the most important assets that we have as a country that we're able to utilize. And I just have to point these things out when I see them. Of course, here's a news story. Of course, This is indicative, though, of everything we talk about with Google and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Now they're all moving to Toronto so that they can be in Canadian territory, so that their SJW soy boy Prime Minister Justin Trudeau can look out for them, and that they don't have to be harassed by the big, bad, mean Trump, who wants them to follow the laws of this country and not sell us out to communist regimes in China, and not sell us out to big corporate elitists and pedophiles. That's too much for social media, big tech firms to handle. So what are they doing? They're relocating to Toronto. Isn't that nice? Sarah Carter comes out. She's breaking this story on the Wall Street Journal. Companies blacklisting hard news stories and pulling ads from anything that has to do with Trump. And the other terms that they want to remove from their advertising ad rules are gun and rape. I mean, to me, you have to see this for what it is. I mean, first of all, they're putting the president of the United States in the same category as quote unquote rape here, according to this article. And that's how sick and twisted these people are. But that's because this is it's like the last ditch effort of somebody who, have you ever met somebody who wants to act tough and they think they're like a bully, and then when they start like trash talking you in some sort of verbal altercation, they just start saying the most ridiculous, nonsensical things you've ever heard in your life, where they say you've done this and that, and it's like, you sound like a crazy person. Everyone sees it. That's what this is. The psychotic global corporate elitists, whoever they are, this cabal of Satanists and Luciferians, they've decided they're going to just do everything they can to go after Trump. And this is what it looks like. Here's another story coming out about the Southern Poverty Law Center. And it talks about the fact that we know the Southern Poverty Law Center has become this political organization that has just been there to defame its political adversaries and make false claims about different organizations, in some cases getting it right, but in a lot of cases getting it very, very wrong. And they're just a weaponized center for lawyers who can attack those who politically disagree with them. So this is a story about a woman who nearly lost her life to the lies that were spread by the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization that's been endorsed by all types of major media corporations and major tech firms. You don't even know the way that they can paint you and destroy your life in a day just by labeling you a monger of hate because you've said something that they politically think is disagreeable to them. So this is an interesting story. I want to just leave this in the links for you guys to read. Just thought I'd mention it here quickly because it definitely is important. Another important story is something Q has told us about for a while now. And I think since Q is down, we have to remember they've had 40 straight weeks of anti-Macron yellow vest protests in France. And I haven't seen one story on the news about this, but the French people are standing up to what they see as their country being destroyed from within, just as we are here in America, just as many other patriots are across the world, including Australia and Great Britain and Canada. We have to come together and stand up to this. And this is just a great example of people who are standing up against the destruction of their country from people who don't care. Here's a big story. Hillary's 30,000 deleted emails, yoga emails, I should say, were found. And if you follow this story, it goes back to what we talked about in one of the previous videos here. This Clinton IT aide who literally had every email pretty much sent that had classified information on Hillary Clinton's private Secretary of State email account, had them forwarded to this private server that he was running out of the basement of a restaurant, and that was also being forwarded to a Chinese company. These people are so corrupt, it makes me sick to my stomach, especially given the fact that these people are in handcuffs and in jail cells at this point. It is the most disgusting example of a injustice that exists today in our country, as far as these individuals who are walking free after they have sold us out, given our secrets and classified information to the Chinese, and done everything they can to destroy our country from within, and we are still sitting here pontificating on whether or not they are guilty. We have enough evidence to at least bring indictments and put these people on trial. But I guess that's getting ahead of it, right? Here's a tweet from Devin Nunes, very interesting tweet. It has a amber colored sculpture of President Donald Trump's head. Now, one person pointed out something important. There's a mafia in Ukraine called the Amber Mafia, and this could be a reference that Devin Nunes is making to Ukraine about the next set of revelations that will be coming out as part of the declassification. The next set of revelations that are going to come out are going to definitely have to do with Ukraine. Ukraine was, first of all, it's one of the most corrupt countries in Europe. And second of all, it is ground zero for the deep state influence, buying influence, peddling corruption, all of that stuff. That was the ground zero for it. Look up the deals that were made with Hunter Biden and Christopher Hines and Devin Archer, and understand what Burisma Holdings was, and understand what happened there with those sweetheart deals that were given and the millions and millions of dollars that were transferred. And then look at it in a more broad geopolitical perspective and say, why did Putin order the movement into Ukraine in order to seize certain parts? I believe that it was the Donbass region. But you have to think of these things in context and understand that these were secessions that were bought and paid for behind the scenes illegally. Poroshenko was a puppet, the former president, and chocolate magnate. Guy was basically Willy Wonka, and then he becomes the president of Ukraine, and you wonder if he's being, bought and paid for. And this is a very fascinating thing. So I'll leave some links. You guys check it out. But never forget that the exact same criminal gang that ran the Enron task force ran Obama's deep state Hillary and Mueller investigations. So these same people who were notably found out later to have had a huge miscarriage of justice in the prosecution and indictments of the Enron executives and the destruction of that company, they are the same people who are running the Hillary Clinton investigation and the Mueller Russia hoax investigation. So never forget that. Here's another story, models, and this is a Daily Beast article, so I basically just categorize it as fake news, regardless, because I haven't heard a lot of truth coming out of these people. This is just, it doesn't matter, right? The whole article says, oh, well, it was this Jean-Luc Brunel, who we already know has been named in all the documents, was accused of preying on underage girls and farming them out to Epstein and others. Okay, so Jean-Luc was the procurer who gave it to Epstein, who then gave it to Clinton. Why don't you write that story, Daily Beast, instead of just completely hiring and employing people who are complete fake news liars? Anyway, this is another story. The FBI seems to be focusing on the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. This is the ranch that was in Stanley, New Mexico. Jeffrey Epstein bought it from the former governor of New Mexico. And there are some very suspicious things that happened, including the fact that the company that Epstein made to manage the Zorro Ranch, which was called the Zorro Trust, ended up winning an Oklahoma Powerball lottery ticket that was worth almost $100 million. And they ended up walking away with a lump sum payment of $30 million. And then you talk about the fact that the lottery is rigged and that all of these rich people are just taking everyone's money who put into it and then just giving it to their buddies and friends. And you're just sitting there going, oh, okay, well, that makes perfect sense. Dig deeper on that if you haven't yet. Here's another story. Prince Andrew was pictured inside of the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's island, but the Daily Mail says, or inside of Jeffrey Epstein's $63 million mansion in New York. But they say, how did he miss the signs of the billionaire's sexual deviance? Oh, I wonder, chap, how could you ever have missed it? Perhaps he was enjoying it himself. Perhaps the pictures with him and Virginia Roberts were because he was with her intimately at the behest of Ghislaine Maxwell. I hope you appreciate my sophisticated British accent as I deliver that fascinating piece of news to the people who don't know how to make news. Anyway, the Metro here reporting that this Colombian woman named the Madam has been arrested after 250 child prostitutes have been raped and branded with tattoos under her purview. And this is a story from 2018, but it continues to be important to this day because it gives you an example of how we always need to be reminded of the fact that these rings have been brought down. And I think that's something that I hopefully can share with you here. Now, another one thing I want to give you guys to dig on before we leave is with regard to everything that we kind of looked at contextually. You have this interesting little diddly. This is a thread I want to share with you. Does it come as a surprise? Jeffrey Epstein's brother owns a charity, his name's Mark Epstein, for kids in places like Haiti, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, called the Humpty Dumpty Institute. And they have congressional reps in the UN. And there is their link. Now you can go through this dig. I'm going to leave a link to it, but it connects back to Bill Clinton. It connects back to different members of Congress. This is very, very fascinating if you look at it for what it is. And I just want to leave that for you guys to check out and dig on your own. Here is their actual website with the link to all the people. And that is pretty much what we're going to wrap it up for this episode. A few more things before we go. Please come here, share these videos, get them out on your social media. Also, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. And leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. Before we go, a few other ways you can help out the channel. Come over here and find me on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED. We can have a conversation. That's a cool way to connect. And I have the official website for Just Informed Talk, justinformednews.com. That's justinformednews.com. You come here, links to the Q stuff, links to different news sites, breaking news, and the latest videos here. That's a cool way where you can get connected, and I encourage you all to go check that out. Plus, a few other ways you can help out. Come over here. You can find me over here on Patreon, patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. You guys keep this channel alive. YouTube has decided to attack this channel behind the scenes, demonetize every single video without giving me any real good reason. And it hasn't mattered because you guys have supported it. This channel will stay alive as long as you guys continue to support it. And I'm going to keep doing this no matter what. So thank you for your support. Come here to Patreon. Click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set and forget it. And I thank you for your contributions. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, I want to share these really important verses out of the book of Ecclesiastes. And let me just tell you that these words I think are really important. I want to share them with you, and then we're going to talk about them. It's out of chapter 11, verses 8 through 10. It says, "For if a man should live many years, let him rejoice in them all. And let him remember the days of darkness, since they will be many. All that comes is futile. Rejoice, young man, while you are young, and let your heart be glad in the days of your youth, and walk in the ways of your heart and in the sights of your eyes. But know that for all of these things God will bring you to judgment. Remove sorrow from your heart and put away pain from your flesh, because youth and the prime of life are fleeting." So you might ask, why do I share those words? Because they're important. You only have one life. And what I think those words are meant to show us is that we have to take advantage of every single day to put God first. We have to remember that if we do end up living a long, long life, regardless of how long it is, we're all going to come to judgment in front of God. And if we have had transgressions or adversity that we've had to overcome, let those days of darkness remind us of how to persevere, how to become better, how to remain righteous, how to overcome adversity. This is one of the most important things I think we can learn in life in general. Because although when we're younger, life is just an endless journey, we have to remember that there will be an end. And when that end comes, we are accountable for the things that we've done here. And we're not perfect. We have made mistakes. We will make mistakes. We just have to be righteous as best we can and ask God for forgiveness and do everything in our power to be good men and women for the Lord. And remember that Jesus died on the cross for our sins so that we may have eternal salvation in heaven, and the Holy Spirit lives in us, and we have to embrace that every day and pass that on to others. So my call to you is to take that love, that joy, the blessings that you're feeling right now, and turn those into even more blessings. And if you're not feeling that right now, remember, open your heart up, say a prayer, and look to God, because God can do all things. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching. Again, come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit it, headbutt it, poke it, tap it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.